Hey there everyone, and welcome to a PokeClass special episode which I've been meaning to make for a while now, and it's another Battle Roads report. This Battle Roads took place around 2 or 3 weeks ago now, but I haven't found the time to create the video for it yet, so I guess it's just better late than never. Anyway, I went to Sheffield Battle Roads a few weeks back and didn't plan on making a video report for it, but turns out I did really well, so I made it into a separate video from a usual PokeClass episode, as I've already done a couple of reports for you. That being said, let's get on to the report. So this was to be my last Battle Roads before regionals, which are happening in the next few weeks for me, and I wanted to see if I could still try and grab some championship points to get my total up a bit more before the big point events. My deck choice was definitely made in spite of this, as I ran what I believe to be the most consistent deck in that format, and I decided to play Darkrai Hammers, which is a deck that can set up every single game, and then it was down to me to bring out the win. There wasn't really much special about the list apart from running both Eviolite and Dark Claw, which gave me a lot of options throughout different matchups. I was confident about the list, and we had a 5-round top 4 tournament, and I was paired against Tamal Cameron for round 1. You may remember Tamal from my previous report where we played in the finals, and this time he was playing Darkrai Hammers again, so I was in for a mirror match straight away, not a matchup I had a lot of experience in. The big difference between our builds was that he didn't play an Eviolite and I played Tool Scrapper, which meant if I could keep an Eviolite on my side of the field and get rid of his Dark Claw, I could be in a good position for swinging the game in my favour. It turns out that we hit just the one crushing hammer each, so not much was decided here, but we did both get set up at the same speed. The prize race continued, and Potion from both players was swapping the prize trade back and forth. In the end, he had a pretty dead hand thanks to my N, and I just needed a single prize to win out the game. With him running out of resources first and no quick way to get a Darkrai into play, I squeak out the win and onto 1-0. Very close start to the day. Next round I was against Alex Holdway with Darkrai Hydreigon, a deck I definitely had the matchup down for, so I was ready for it as long as I could get set up. And this matchup goes as planned. He does get the turn 2 Hydreigon, but my hammers are severely slowing down his setup. This is made even worse by the fact that he has 3 of his 4 dark patches prized, meaning he has no real way to come back into the game after I take another KO on his second Darkrai. From here he has no energy and I still have plenty of attackers left, and I take the game to move on to 2-0. So round 3 was against Charles Barton, and I had no idea what he was playing until he flipped over a Darkrai and a Roselia at the beginning of the game. Roserade was a card I hadn't tested against, but I quickly made the assumption that he was running Terrakion too, which turned out to be the case. He started off fairly rough and I was starting to set up quite nicely, but kept whiffing the final energy I needed to get Night Spear going as soon as possible. When I finally hit the energy I needed, his field is pretty bare after I take a KO on his Terrakion, eliminating the threat he had on the board. This left him with a Darkrai and a Roselia on the field and no energy, so I was fairly sure that I would be safe. However, it turns out he has the perfect hand to get all he needs to search out the Terrakion, get enough energy onto it thanks to Dark Patch and Energy Switch, and also have the catcher to get a double prize on my non-Eviolited Darkrai on the bench. This was a crazy move that even he was shocked to get, and unfortunately my hand started to get worse, but all was not over. By the end he just needed a single prize left to my 3, and I had the perfect KO set up to take all 3 prizes in one turn on his active Darkrai and benched Roselia. However, he has a Snipe prize set up on my bench Sableye, and I have a Juniper in hand from which I need to draw an energy and a potion. I attached the Eviolite I had in hand so his Night Spear couldn't KO it if I hit the potion, but I Juniper for 7 and whiff the potion, meaning he can take an easy prize next turn for the win. Bit of a disappointing win, but a great game, and on to 2-1. Next game, I'm paired down to a guy playing Garchomp All Terrier, a deck I have particular pet hate for, and things go very poorly for me. He manages to get a turn 2 Garchomp swinging for 100, while I'm getting nothing but trainers to make anything of this game. Fast forward to around 20 minutes in, and he has just 1 prize card remaining to my 6, and Top Cut looked doomed from here. However, I see an opening after an end to catch an All Terrier, and that buys me the turn I needed to draw into the resources I need from the deck to get going. I managed to set up my own Night Spear in a single turn, and thanks to my N, he starts to miss out on attacking as he hopes to top deck an energy. In the end, I hit a crucial crushing hammerhead to get rid of his only way of doing 100 from the next turn, and I'm able to KO a Garchomp and Swablu in the same turn, and finish out a very close game after taking every cheap prize that I could. A very close game that was way too close for my liking, and I'm on to 3-1. My last opponent for the Swiss round is Tommy Roberts, who should be a very familiar name by now, and he is playing Ho-Oh, another of those decks I hadn't had much experience playing against, but I had played the deck a few times myself to get the gist of what it needed to stay afloat. This was a pretty strange game, and I'm getting a fairly decent start, and he gets going fairly quickly too. However, the whole turning point of the game is on around turn 3 or 4, where I had confused his active Terrakion, and it had taken some Night Spear damage already, meaning that if he went for the Land Crush and hit Tails, he gets knocked out, and I get the big threat off the field, and if he gets heads, he knocks out my only Darkrai and energy on the board and will probably run me over to win the game. Luckily for me, he gets tails and things get a little easier for me, only knocking out Ho-Ohs near the end of the game as to limit his rebirth use. There is a point where he had a KO ready on my Darkrai with his Mewtwo, but my potion, paired with his whiff on the Tool Scrapper, made him 10 short of a KO, and I'm able to catch her to take a multiple prize win to end the game. So I sit at 4-1, and I'm in the top 4 at 2nd seed. Also in the top 4 is George Boone with Ray Eels, who is the undefeated player of the tournament, Ross Gilbert with his Ho-Oh concoction, and Kev Bramald with Darkrai Hydreigon. My top 4 game is against Kev, and I'm thankful to be playing a matchup I know really well. However, he is playing Sigilif and Giratina, which could both pose some issues for me. Game 1, there isn't really much to say about it, to be honest, apart from I hit every single crushing hammer that I play, taking away all of his energy, and when his last Sableye goes down, there isn't anything he can do to come back, as he has no energy to get off any attacks. He did hit the Hydreigon setup, which helped him to keep energy in play when suffering KOs, but the constant hammers were way too much for him to deal with, and we moved on to game 2. The next game, he really didn't draw much at all, and I got set up fairly nicely and really showed the consistency difference between the two decks. I managed to take a lot of prizes while he has to discard 2 Hydreigons on his first turn and doesn't hit the Super Rod he needs to get them back into the deck. In the final turns of the game, he does drop a Shaymin EX with a Blend Energy, which really caught me off guard, but he ends me into an Enhanced Hammer and I'm able to snipe it until it's KO'd and take my final prizes, 5-1 and into the finals. So I'm feeling great to be in the finals of another Battle Roads and didn't expect it at all, and I was against Ross Gilbert with his Ho-Oh deck that ran Tornadus EX and had heavy focus on Terrakion too, so I was in for a rough ride. The first game is an incredibly long one, involves me having to take a fairly slow start while he's KOing Sableye's left, right and centre with his Tornadus EX. However, I'm able to buy myself some turns thanks to catching up his Mewtwo and getting him straight back with Sableye, and I'm able to get rolling. His Terrakions keep hitting the field and I make a point of not taking any prizes past the first 2 when Terrakion wasn't a threat. By the end of the game, he was whiffing heavily on supporters and I was spreading damage everywhere, avoiding Terrakion to retaliate at all costs. His awful hands eventually mean that I can end up taking 4 prizes in a single turn with Night Spear to end a very enjoyable game 1. The next game pretty much goes the same way, with him setting up a fast Tornadus EX to start KOing my Sableye while they do the same catch-us shenanigans. It eventually comes to him being in exactly the same situation Tommy was in our previous game. His Terrakion was confused and he captured up my Darkrai for a potential KO, but if he hits tails, I can get the knockout on it the next turn, getting rid of almost all his energy, and if he hits heads, my Darkrai would go down and I'd be in big trouble. Thankfully, he does hit the tails on a very risky move and I'm able to eliminate his Terrakion the following turn, and also get an Enhanced Hammer on his only energy left in play, and he scoops the game, which means I win the event. I felt amazing playing such great games all day and still coming out on top, and didn't expect at all to be winning another event anytime soon. However, I'm really happy I did so well and I'm now on 30 championship points heading into regionals and cities very soon. So that's how my day went, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it. Darkrai Hammers really worked out for me as it did stay consistent for the most part of the day, and I felt that it definitely helped with my success at the event. However, the future for Hammers isn't quite clear yet come boundaries crossed, but it will be a deck that I will test for regionals. So thank you all for watching this PokeClass special. I hope you enjoyed watching and hearing about my experience, and if you did, then please leave a like, comment down below, and as always, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks again for watching guys, and I'll see you all next time.